1908, Kingdom of Suzerain. You opened your eyes to this world you came from. An impoverished family in the city of Gniel. Your parents named you Anton, as the only child of a farmer. You spent your childhood among wheat fields. Life was not easy. You were too poor to afford a good education. The Rain family was caring regardless of the economic situation. Your parents always did their best to support you. The years passed. September 9th, 1923. During a history class at school, the bell rang unexpectedly. You heard a loud commotion outside. As everyone tried to figure out what was going on, the principal announced the historic revolution. The kingdom was no more. The Republic of Suzerain was born. You did not fully understand. After graduating, you passed the university exam with high marks. Even though your family was poor, the public education system made it possible to go to university. You had the opportunity to choose between several studies. You chose law at the Whole Swords State University. During the first year, you attended a lecture with David Weissy. He was a well-known diplomat from the Foreign Ministry and the son of the president. After observing the hall in silence, he explained how the Supreme Court is obstructing justice in Suzerain. He stated that laws should be applied fairly and that even the members of the Supreme Court are subject to the same laws. You agreed in principle. May 22nd, 1927. Soldiers entered the campus in the evening ahead of the first election. Many were in shock as the uniformed men created a security cordon and started arresting the teachers. A group of students started gathering in protest. Along with your best friend, Peter Vector, you decided to protest with the students. One of the officers made a loud announcement that echoed through the campus. General Suzerain declared martial law in order to restore the administration. Please stand back and disperse to your rooms. You joined the students that slowly marched towards the large group of soldiers. Suddenly, the soldiers charged. A student fell and was trampled as everybody started running away. You held your ground. Soldiers beat you relentlessly. It was a gloomy year. October 10th, 1927. The rest of teachers were replaced by those that promoted conformism to the state. Holzer turned a blind eye to the things that were happening. You didn't want to stay idle and decided to join a human rights group. The group had deteriorated human rights situation in Suzerain. You contributed in through discussions on how to protect and expand freedoms. In one of the meetings, Peter introduced you to one of his friends, Monica, who was a volunteer in the Swedish League of Women. You were immediately attracted to her intelligence. The politically charged environment led you to join the Red Youth, the Socialists. June 2nd, 1928. The radio relayed that Communist General Rickert surrounded Suzerain and his troops, demanding their surrender. They refused and heavy fighting broke out across the country. You just couldn't believe it. The army was fighting amongst themselves. Suzerain plunged into chaos. Rickert's sudden attack. He was a real socialist. This convinced you to participate in a support march. You were chanting freedom, equality, solidarity. You were marching under the protection of Rickert's soldiers. Students opposing the coup gathered a few hundred meters in front of you. Many nationalists were among them. You knew something was going to happen. You stayed. There was a massive clash between the two sides. Soldiers began to beat the students. Tanks started rolling forward. In this chaotic moment, you saw a young girl about to get run over by a tank. You ran to save her. But couldn't reach her in time. You never forgot her face. The clashes escalated into a full-blown civil war. The horrors made you isolate yourself for a while. Monica helped you cope and love grew between the two of you. However, it was difficult. It was a difficult time for love. The chaos must end. 1929, Republic of Sorlin. The charismatic Colonel Tarquin Sol orchestrated a sudden coup and brought an end to the chaos. He wrote a new constitution and restored stability, and people saw him as a savior. He formed the United Sorlin Party and ran as a presidential candidate in the first ever elections. You voted for the United Sorlin Party. June 1929. The United Sorlin Party won the election by a large majority. After graduation, you kept seeing Monica and noticed her interest to marry. However, a letter arrived from the military calling you to fulfill your compulsory service. It was time to serve your national duty. February 1930, Bergia region. A devastating civil war broke out in the neighboring country, Wayland. The disgusted Major Iosif Lencia ordered you to lead your squad on a border patrol mission. It was a very cold winter night when you began marching out of Gumarin outpost. You could see your breath. Text message says, "I don't think they have canned turnips here." Well, of course they don't. After several hours of marching through the snowy hills, distant noises were heard. Visibility was too low to confirm the source. The squad crawled forward in formation and found a spot to observe. A group of refugees had made it beyond the border fence. You escorted them back. The refugees were in despair when they realized that you were taking them back to the border. Screams and protests ensued as they were restrained. You delivered them to the border guards. After several months of military service, your duties ended and you went back to civilian life. 1931. You and Monica decided to share your lives together. After receiving the blessing of her parents, a ceremony was held in Holsword. During the same year, you were offered a high-paying job at the governing United Sorlin Party. It was important to start your career on a good foot, so you accepted it. It was the best opportunity to change the world, change the country for the better. You became the legal assistant to one of the most experienced members of the assembly. You worked long and hard, staying late at work, going through hundreds of pages of legal documents. You were climbing the ladder. September 1933. Sol strengthened the Republic by removing the institutions and symbols of the former kingdoms from society. Things were also looking up for the country as the massive economic boom continued, and people were the happiest they had been in a decade. Election time came and it was decided. President Tarquin Sol was elected once more. April 2nd, 1934. The ongoing legal battle between the Justice Ministry and the Supreme Court put you under a lot of stress. But your significant contribution to the legal case triggered an invitation to meet President Tarquin Sol himself, who offered you a key position. You were to become the youngest member of this assembly. You accepted right away. June 1938. As the youngest member of Parliament, it was difficult to connect with the influential inner circle. You needed allies, so you brought Peter as your right-hand man. The birth of your son, Frank, provided a brief moment of joy and relief. You sacrificed work to spend time with your family. October 1941. During your absence, Peter found trustworthy contacts and strengthened your position in the party. At the same time, President Sol increased his authority over the years. His growing ego started to cause strife within the party. The cracks began to show. October 1945. President Sol barely secured a majority in the election against the opposition leader. Over the past year, people were growing discontent, corruption, and worsening quality of life. Meanwhile, calls for a United Sorlin Party Congress became louder as the leadership struggle started to brew. You watched from the sidelines. July 1946. The contender for party leadership was Ewald Alfonso, a reformist and talented business magnate with growing popularity within the party. Meanwhile, in a desperate effort to secure votes before Congress, President